Bear in mind that it did activate, which you've heard me go on about before, is it's nice guy robots. And a lot of the theme of this movie is about how we need to treat robots like people. And no, absolutely not. Fuck that.
Oh my God.
Fuck Andy. This is the big emotional crux of Rain's character arc, and when she imitates Ripley going back for Newt, is when she refuses to leave Andy behind because it's such a mean thing to do to leave this in her behind. So, no, we already demonstrated that his virtues are artificial, and with the flip of a switch and a disc, he becomes evil. Like that's there's nothing there to save. Fuck him, leave him.
Well, you could say that of humans. It doesn't take one bad day and all that.
Yeah, you could, but it's not with a one bad CD mini disc.
It depends what's on the disc.
It's just a terrible YouTube algorithm got loaded into his skull port.
That'll happen. This is thing. I liked where they were going. Like, I thought the setup with him was really cool and really creepy.
It was.
And the fact that, she had kind of like planning to leave him eventually, but hadn't really worked up the courage to tell him yet. That's like, I thought that was excellent. Like sort of character building in a sort of understandable, but yet still it's a betrayal, and it's understandable because he's a synthetic, but at the same time, if you actually respect him as a person, isn't that bullshit? Like all that was like, yeah, this is good. This is good. It felt like as mean as this film was, the way to pay that off would be for him to as his own person, reject her. To decide, like, kind of get won over by Rook a little bit. That's where I thought this was going. But no, he is completely based on programming.
But
throughout.
Is that too much of a retread of like David stuff from the other more recent movies?
I mean, it's consistent with the way synthetics work in this universe, I would say.
That is a much more positive spin on retread.
But you can't trust them. You can never trust the synthetics in this, except Bishop, of course, the most trustworthy of all robots.
The point of the second movie's android is that you can.
Mm-hmm. But tracking that over the course of these films is kind of one of the most fascinating things. Mm-hmm. And again, Andy is the highlight of this, and everything that happens with him works. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just wanted the darkest possible film.
I gotta say, I'm sitting here as you guys are talking. I'm thinking of that classic Star Trek episode, "Measure of a Man," where Data he has to prove if he's an item or a person, and I'm just picturing you two. Kill him! Send him to the slave pens immediately. Yeah.
I mean, Data is altogether more of a general artificial intelligence. This movie makes clear that these are easily reprogrammable. The only reason why he was acting nice at all is because he is given one directive to serve Raina's interest, but that is also at the press of a button can be flipped over to the exact opposite. And he feels no more deeply about one than the other. And it's machinery. And God damn it, at this point in 2024, we do not need people to be more sympathetic to fucking bots and algorithms and things that pretend to that imitate human speech patterns and feeling with none of the actual, like, I don't know. I guess the reason AI stuff is maybe start to believe in a soul.
This is the most old men yell at clouds argument I've heard about this movie yet. But
no, this is great. These are the questions you're supposed to be asking after an alien movie, for sure. Like all of them, really.
Oh.
I do have to say one of my favorite things about the movie is, and I've mentioned this a few times, I really like that they changed Weyland-Yutani's interest in the xenomorph a bit.
Mm-hmm. This is the best part of the movie, I think. Yeah.
In Aliens, I'm sure it's mentioned in Alien 3. It's a focal point of Alien Resurrection. The implication is that Weyland-Yutani wants the animal as like a weapon, like a biological weapon they can control and, I don't know, teach it like a dog to attack people or something. To me, that has always been completely ridiculous and silly, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you reframe their interest as being in this sort of proto-molecule pathogen thing that from Prometheus, the black goo, I guess we call it. All of a sudden, it makes a lot more sense to me because the movie, the whole first act on that horrible mining planet, it's really good about showing us in the text how fragile we are and how frail we are and how not designed for space travel and colonization we are. So the idea that, you could use this rapid evolution goo to help us adapt so that we can live in wide ranges of temperature. Like the plan actually, to me at least, makes a lot more sense. And I really appreciated that. Sounds like you're the same way.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, sure, this would have, I suppose, military applications too, if you're
right.
trying to breed shock troopers that can fight in different environments. Why you need to, though, if we can't survive, if humans can't ever survive there, is another question. And it is a more interesting sci-fi idea than attack dogs,
right?
And it reframes the villainy of Weyland-Yutani in an interesting way. I think that is a thing that 7 movies in, like, there's not a lot of big changes we can make to this universe, but that's an interesting one. I don't know if I'm simultaneously here saying that I hate that the movie made the robot too human, but I love that they made the corporation more human. But
he could still be evil and be human. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've just been so one-dimensional so far, and it doesn't change anything they're going to do.
Yeah, like, there's a shadowy conglomerate, and
Yeah. But framing the idea that our colonies are failing, that is something that's never been articulated in the prior Alien movies, but it's easy to read into them. It doesn't look like anybody's thriving out here.
Yeah, LV-421 is not an aberration exactly. Like this is kind of what it would be like trying to colonize outer space. I do think this is a great idea. I think it's always kind of been implicit in the franchise that that this is the idea of yes, weapons division, I guess always gets the headline, but it's sort of just how science works, right? I mean, this is the way they it's sort of the serpent and the rainbow thing. Like they were they had scientists go down to Haiti to investigate voodoo practices because there was there was value in anesthetic medicine to be found there. That's there. There's so much stuff that can be mined from discovery. Or in the rainforest. It's that sort of thing, and I don't know. I think that's always kind of been the general idea, right? With Weyland-Yutani or anyone trying to get. I like you said, I guess it is weapons explicitly in Resurrection.
Yeah, I mean, we're introduced to them in the very first movie as a mining concern, I suppose. And
right.
So they've got their fingers in more than one pie, and they'll seek profit for wherever they can find it. It makes sense when you think about it a little more that, well, yeah, there's probably more profit in space mining than space warfare. Because space is so empty in this universe that there's not that many other people to fight, one would think.
Yeah.
And the bigger problem is how do you keep people alive in these incredibly hostile environments? That's, again, more interesting sci-fi ground that the series has not broken yet, and also reframes the relationship to the company in a way that doesn't make them the good guys, but makes
more sense.
Makes their motivations a lot more plausible.
As opposed to, we are the evil company. And we're here for evil. That's our profit margin is evil.
Yes. Yeah. Therefore, we must seek out the most evil things in the universe and bring them to us.